Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I see we got 3 people in here. I don't know if we'll get much more than that because this was a very unscheduled live. But hopefully we do. That'd be cool. I think this is going to be a very, very beneficial live for you guys. And I'm very excited to do it. Thank you guys for those likes. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. Hope everybody's having a great night. So I just want to wait a couple of minutes to see if some more people filter in. If everybody can hear me okay, please let me know. Let me know. Drop me a comment, guys. Let me know how I sound. Right now I got Brittany in the other room, and she's teaching. So she's using the Wi-Fi, and I just want to make sure that I'm reaching you guys pretty well. So drop me a comment, let me know. Hope everybody's having a great night. So I wanted to discuss a couple of things. Actually, you know what? Let me check something right here. Okay. Yeah, looks like I'm coming in through good. All right, cool, guys. As far as what we were going to discuss tonight, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown. I want to discuss the pros and the cons of buying real estate now in 2023 today. Today's date, Saturday, June 17th. Why do I want to discuss this? Well, I just put a video out, as you guys might have noticed this morning, with an Ahihic real estate tour. And I got some amazing comments on that video. So because I got such great comments on that video, I thought it would be beneficial to put out a live about that and discuss some of those. Thank you very much, Starry Night. Thank you very much for that comment. Excellent. I'm glad that I'm coming through okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. Welcome, by the way, welcome. So I wanted to discuss the pros and cons of buying real estate in Mexico right now, specifically with Ajijic. But these things will also bleed into everywhere in Mexico, right? So we'll discuss the pros, we'll discuss the cons. And then I wanted to go over the comments that other video was actually mentioning, because I thought they were excellent, excellent comments. So welcome to everybody who is here. I hope you guys do appreciate the content. And give us a like so this can reach more people if you do appreciate it. Let's get into it, all right? So the first thing I want to discuss right now are the cons, okay? The biggest con, like everybody already probably knows, is the fact that the peso is like 17 pesos to a dollar, right? It's not fun because it really adds up. Thank you so much for those likes. Thank you for those likes, guys. 17 pesos to a dollar. I didn't check what it is, honestly, because it's just depressing. And you really see your money, your American money, get jacked up when that peso goes higher and that dollar goes down. You see the difference. I'm paying $30 more for rent than I was only a couple of months ago. And that's because of the change in the currency. So that's scary. So when you buy something here in Mexico, you're going to be spending way more money than you would have if the peso was not as high when compared to the dollar, okay? So for anyone who doesn't understand that, the peso amount can remain the same, but because the peso gets stronger, the dollar gets weaker, you're spending more money. So Sue, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Starry Night, yes. Huge difference. Huge, scary difference. And that's why you see a lot of expats right now who live in Mexico, who are living off their pensions. They're scared right now, and for good reason, because their money is disappearing before their eyes. But as you'll see later, we're going to discuss why it may not be such a bad thing, but we'll work on the cons for now. So yes, 17 pesos or around that to $1. Not fun. If you already live in Mexico and you're depending on those dollars, you're watching your money disappear before your eyes. Very scary. And I feel bad for anybody who is here depending on, a pension or anything along those lines. So the next thing is, I wanted to mention another con, that is housing prices in certain areas, okay? Now I'm going to tell you guys flat out, I already know, because I've been doing the research, no matter where you're looking in Mexico, welcome to everybody who's here, by the way, welcome. No matter where you're looking in Mexico, the housing market is strong. Even if you're looking in a little house, at a little town, at a little house, the housing market is strong. So depending on the area, right? If you look at a more popular area, Mexico City, Ajijic, Chapala, where else? Guadalajara. There's a lot popular areas, right? I'm over here in Morelia. This is far from the most popular area. Thank you guys for those likes. Thank you. And welcome to everybody who's here. So where was I at? As far as the areas, right? Depending on the area, you might be spending a ton of money. And a lot of the time, you might be looking at houses over here in Mexico, and you might be thinking, these are American prices. These are American prices. There's always a range when you're buying real estate, right? You're going to have a $300,000 house over in the United States. You're going to have a $300,000 house over in Mexico. Guaranteed, though, the house over in Mexico is going to be double the size with double the amenities. So yes, might be a United States Americanized price, but you are getting a lot more for your money here, even with the peso at 17 to $1, okay? So certain areas in certain places, like the video I put out this morning that sparked this live, was focusing on Ajijic. Very expensive for what you're getting. Very expensive. And that's because that's a very Americanized area, okay? So the next is you lose capital during turbulent times. You might not want to spend money right now because you might need that money. And you might need that money to live every day. So why would you want to spend money? That's another con. You can't take out a loan in Mexico unless you are a Mexican citizen. And last time I checked, even Mexican citizens do not take out loans. It's very rare. Last time I checked, and I checked with a real estate agent on that, they usually build homes from my information that the real estate agent gave me. They're usually building homes as they get the money. So that's why when you come around, when you're hanging out in Mexico, you might see a bunch of like delinquent looking houses, half built, there's no door, there's like, wire hanging out of the concrete. I forget the steel bars that hang out of the concrete. You see a lot of that stuff. And thank you for those likes. And the reason why is because they're building as they get their money. So, you can't get a loan here. Even most of the Mexicans, they're not getting loans here. So you'd be spending capital. And that may not be wise right now because you might need that money. So that's another con to this whole thing. Mexico in general, for the next con, they look abandoned. Yes, a lot of them look abandoned. Evie B, yes, a lot of them look abandoned. And they may not be. Very likely they're not, actually. They're just in the middle of being built. 2 houses next to me, where I'm at right now, look like that. One day I passed by, just the other day, I looked at it, there was a door on the house. I was like, oh, they put a door on the house. they're getting there, right? They're slowly getting there. So they're not abandoned, they're just being built slowly in certain cases. So the next con is that Mexico is not the cheapest area. It's not the cheapest country by any means. So buying a home in Mexico means you're not going to get as much for your money as if you went to another country. Many people think about Mexico as being some third world cheap country that Americans go to, where maybe at one time it was, right? But now it's not like that. It is not like that. It's not the place you need to go to if you are living on the tightest budget. You need to know that. I know that many people talk about, oh, living on this much a month, living on this much a month. You can't even live on that much a month in Mexico unless you can physically get into Mexico with a permanent resident or a tourist, a temporary resident. You still have to make the requirements to get here. And the requirements aren't necessarily cheap, depending on who you're asking, okay? So buying in Mexico for that reason might not be a good idea. The next con of buying in Mexico, welcome to everybody who's here. Welcome, welcome. And thank you for those likes. Really appreciate it. The next con is Mexico is doing very well right now. Okay. Now that's a plus for Mexico, but it's a con for you. If you're not in Mexico and you want to buy in Mexico, Mexico's doing very well. The housing market's booming. The peso's doing very well. They have a lot of industry going on right now. They're building for China. They're building for the US, and who knows who else they're building for. There's a lot of industry happening here in Mexico. They're making themselves available, and so they're bringing money in. Really great thing for Mexico, right? So that's another con of buying real estate here now. Now, some of these things that I mentioned that are cons, guys, they're not going to change. A lot of the time, like, for example, Mexico's doing very well. I don't see that changing anytime soon, okay? So whether it's a year from now or 2 years from now, I don't see that anytime soon changing. So that con might not go away. Mexico not being the cheapest country, right? That's not going away anytime soon. So some of these cons are just things you have to live with. Other cons, like 17 pesos to $1, that might change. And you can wait that out if you like. But I want to talk about, when we talk about the pros right now, why maybe you don't want to wait that out, okay? Because as you guys know, me and my wife, we've been looking at real estate. Not just for the channel, but also because we're interested in seeing what's out there, okay? So let's talk about the pros to buying real estate in Mexico now. And not just the pros, but also the reasons to buy, okay? Because there's a lot of reasons to buy. So the first thing that I want to mention is to hedge your money. I don't know about you guys, but I watched probably about half my life's work disappear before my eyes in the last 6 months because of the stocks, because of the market crashing. That is a scary thing. And so when it comes to hedging your money, what's one of the best things you can do? Probably buy real estate. That's my opinion, okay? I am not a financial advisor, so don't listen to me and be like, hey, Joe, you led me down the wrong path. I'm telling you my thoughts, and if you vibe with my thoughts, then it's all good. I lost half my life's work, almost overnight. That makes me sick to my stomach. So the reason why it might be a good idea to buy now is if you're in the same position and you don't want to lose the rest. Stocks have been bouncing back lately. The market is looking a little better until who knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows. These are turbulent times, like I mentioned earlier. And so if you can afford to, yes, you might have lost a ton of money, but if you have any left, how are you going to save it? Put it into an asset. Put it into a physical asset in a country that's doing very, very well. That's the way I think of it. Not only that, but you're also buying a measure of security. What do I mean? Well, you'll have a home. You'll have a roof over your head if you ever need a roof. You'll be able to maybe rent that home. You'll be able to maybe hand it down to your family members. You'll be able to maybe hold on to it. And if it's in a decent area, and even if it's not in a decent area, it's probably going to appreciate. And then you can sell it. So you put your money into a physical asset that you can later on sell. Again, I'm not a financial advisor by any means. I'm just giving you guys my thoughts as to whether you should buy real estate in Mexico right now. Because someone mentioned that in a comment on that video I put out this morning. The next reason to buy right now, or another pro, right, is the peso is 17 pesos to $1, right? So I'm over here in Mexico. I'm talking to my friends. I'm like, yeah, this sucks. The peso is really strong. Good for you guys. But what about me? And they're looking at me and they're laughing. And I'm like, why are you guys laughing? We're at 17 pesos to $1. And they're like, because we've seen it when the peso was, when the peso was at 4 pesos to $1. 4 pesos to $1. So when you compare 4 pesos to $1 to 17 pesos to $1, you're doing pretty good still. Welcome to everybody who is here, and thank you guys for those likes. Really happy to have you all here, and I hope you guys are finding value in this. So yes, 4 pesos to $1. Have you guys ever seen that in your lifetime? The Mexican people here have seen that because they've had American friends who were like, yeah, we're at 4 pesos to $1. So we're doing pretty good at 17. If it keeps going down, yeah, it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be horrible. I remember not long ago, it was at like 20 pesos to $1. That was great. Not anymore. But at least it's not at 4, right? So we can all be happy about that. Another reason to buy now is if you need a home now, right? Like I said in the cons list, Mexico is strong. The real estate market is strong, even in towns that you've never heard of. Very strong. Trust me, I know. So in the tiniest little town that you've never heard of, the real estate market is pretty strong. If you need a home now, buy one now because you might not be able to afford it later. So at least you're able to have a house now. And then at least you can go ahead and purchase whatever you need in order to live. The gas for your car, which is more expensive in Mexico, by the way. Or whatever the case might be. Groceries, your everyday necessities. You get the house out of the way, if you can, if you need a house now, and then you have one. Because real estate's going up, guys. This is not the United States. I don't know where the real estate is in the U.S. Last time I heard that overly inflated country, the U.S., my home country, the market dropped a little bit. And everybody was like, oh, it's terrible. Meanwhile, it was overly inflated to begin with. So, unbelievably overly inflated. So, if you need a home now, best buy it now, even though the peso is at 17 pesos to $1, because it might go down more. And if you wait, even if the peso goes up, the prices might go up. Keep that in mind. There's no way anybody can determine what the market, the housing market, or the stock market is going to do. There's no way to determine. So you might think, okay, I'll hold out a little bit, or you might think I'll do it now. Either way, there's pros and cons no matter how you look at it. The next reason to buy now, I kind of touched on it already, but I'll touch on it again in a little more depth. The houses here and the prices in general here are just going to raise. When in the history of Earth did you ever hear prices going down? Probably never. So now might be the best reason to buy so that you can get the huge purchase out of the way if you plan on living in Mexico for a long time. Again, you have different areas. You have the Ajijics, you have the Chapalas, you have the Guadalajaras, you have where else? The Cabos. You know, you have all these expensive places, Puerto Vallarta, all these expensive places. But you don't have to buy there. You know, it's probably better not to buy there. I don't even like the fact that I'm looking in those areas, to be honest with you. And the reason why is because I don't like that they're overly inflated. And they are, they're overly inflated. But it is what it is. You know, if you want a good return on an investment, you're probably going to want to invest in a more popular place. But if you want a place to live, you're not being forced to stay in those areas. You have a whole beautiful country that you can go ahead and try to purchase a home in. Do me a favor, everybody. Sometimes I have trouble with the connection with YouTube. Can someone drop me a comment just so that I know that you guys can comment? In fact, let me go ahead and try on my end. Okay, excellent. I got my comment. Okay, excellent. So again, the what I just spoke about, it's only going to go up. The prices are only going to go up, guys. And so if you think it's expensive now, even with the 17 pesos to $1, wait to see what the housing prices will be when it's back to 20 pesos to $1, if it ever goes there again, because Mexico is not weak right now, guys. And I don't think it's going to be weak, to be honest. So I want to touch on something that I kind of touched on already. You have a whole country here. There are so many places where as long as you can afford to get in, right? Get your temporary residency, you can buy a house so reasonably priced. Really, when compared to wherever you're coming from. You can buy a house so reasonably priced. If you're coming from the US, you might be looking at a trailer that costs you 200 grand. You can get triple that here for half the cost. So that's something to keep in mind too. And the number one reason to buy now, the number one reason is to support Mexico. Affordability will continue to move south. Malibu, glad that you were able to make it. Affordability will continue to move south. Ecuador, Peru, etc. I gotta be honest with you. I was talking to my accountant the other day, and he lives in Ecuador. He said the prices in Ecuador are through the roof. Through the roof. So I don't know if affordability will continue to move that way, but he's an American living in Ecuador telling me that the prices are through the roof and they were not like this just in the recent future. So I don't know about that, but let's hope you're right. You know, let's see what happens. But yes, back to the number one reason why you will want to buy now and buy in Mexico. Another pro is you're supporting the Mexican economy. Now, if you plan on moving to Mexico, you want to support the economy. Be happy that the country that you're looking to move to is doing well, right? And you may not feel that way because you see your money just disappearing because of where the dollar is. But at the end of the day, it's nice to see the country that you want to move to doing well. I feel very happy for Mexico. I'm very happy. And there's a lot of different perspectives out there on that. A lot of people, a lot of Mexican people, Malibu, interesting. Yes, if you're referring to Ecuador, Peru, yes, very interesting and scary, which goes back to why you might want to buy now. Whether that's in Peru, whether that's in Mexico, whether it's in Ecuador, whether it's in Colombia. You might want to buy now because the markets are strong, no matter where you're looking. Nothing's going to go down. Let me put it like that. At least that's my thoughts. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, you might be right. But that's the way I see it from the research that I've been doing and the people I've been talking to. But depending on who you ask, especially if you ask an angry Mexican person, Mexican citizen, they might say something like, you're not supporting Mexico. You're supporting an inflated economy. I believe maybe one of the comments on the video that I recently put out, I don't know if it was the one this morning or a different one. In fact, it was a different one. It was the New York versus Mexico City video that I put out, which got like 50,000 views like overnight or something like that, or amazing. There was a Mexican gentleman on there who said, "You're not, you're contributing to higher prices, inflated prices, and you're causing Mexican people to be kicked out of their own neighborhoods." And I told him in a nice way, and I'll tell you guys in a nice way, you need to talk to the people selling the real estate. And the reason you need to talk to the people selling the real estate, the Mexican citizens selling the real estate, is because they're the ones inflating the prices for the Americans. Now, yes, does it help that so many people are making videos on Mexico, talking about Mexico? Oh, come here, it's so cheap. Well, I would never tell you to just come here because it's cheap, because in my con list, I just told you it's not that cheap here, okay? But I would never tell you to come to a country just for that. I would say come here for the people, come here for the culture, come here for, the country itself. That's what I would tell you. But in terms of comments like, oh, you're not supporting the Mexican economy, you're only supporting this, this, and that, that's not true. I've spoken to Mexican accountants, I've spoken to Mexican citizens who are our personal friends, and they've told us that most of the money that comes into Mexico comes from the United States in two specific ways. One, the first way, Mexican people who move to the United States make money and send it back to Mexico. That's the first way. The second way is the Americans who come and spend their money here. Those are the number two ways, according to the people that I've spoken to who are Mexican citizens, who aren't afraid to talk about, what the deal is as far as people coming here to Mexico and spending their money. Malibu, why move to Ecuador then if Guadalajara is 3 hours nonstop to LA? Thumbs up. Hey, everybody has their reasons, right? Again, depending on what culture you want, you may want to move to Ecuador. Some people love the Ecuadorian culture. John Ferris, oh yeah, more gringos gentrifying Mexico. I don't know if that was, John, I don't know if that was sarcasm or not, but in either case, like I just said, most of the money from Mexico is coming from Americans. Mexicans moving to Mexico, moving to the United States and sending their money back, and the Americans who are coming here who are spending their money here. So again, I don't know if that was sarcasm or if it was serious, but if it was sarcasm, no doubt. If it was serious, I'm sorry you feel that way. At the end of the day, my wife and I, we don't have that much money. We're living over here in a middle-class Mexican neighborhood. We're buying groceries at the normal prices. We're trying to keep prices down. Yes, we're looking for real estate in more expensive areas, but at the end of the day, those areas that we're still looking in are still not the ultra rich, because I can't in my heart even get myself to want to do that. I'm not even happy with where we're looking right now, to be honest. All right, let's see here. Malibu. People in Los Angeles are commuting 3 hours because they're kicked out of their neighborhoods. That's an old argument. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've heard about that, Malibu. David, what do you think about nearshoring? Do you see any uptick in industry coming from Mexico, from Asia? Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Mexico is doing a lot of work for a lot of people, and Mexico will continue to get strong. Now, I'm not familiar with the term nearshoring, but I definitely do see an uptick in industry, especially in San Luis Potosí, because we were over there in San Luis Potosí. And there was so much business going on, so many Europeans there, so much industry. That's only a fraction of what's going on in Mexico. And let me tell you, and there was a lot of Asians there as well. Let me tell you, Mexico is they're not sleeping, they're working. They're building, they're creating things for other people, and they're going to continue to get stronger. That's the way I see things. Skip, hi, greetings. Greetings to you, Skip. Happy to have you here. How is the heat in Morelia? Skip, the heat in Morelia here, oh, not only is this heat wave here killing us, because Morelia, Ajijic, Chapala, they have the best weather, like in the world almost, right? Oh, but the heat's also bringing these mosquitoes that just flew by my face. Not cool, not cool. My wife's dying in the heat right now. Nearshoring, not relying on globalization and supply chains far from the end market. Thank you, David. Thank you. Signal is kind of weak. Jose. Oh, I apologize. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that right now. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, guys, let me hop over to it. Let me know, guys. Send me a comment. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me know if I should even continue doing this live. In fact, let me turn on my... Let me know if I should even continue doing this live. Yeah, on my other device, I'm hearing myself. So hopefully that means you guys are hearing me. So let me shut down my other device and let me head over to that other video. And I want to talk about the comments that we got in that video. It was an excellent group of comments. Skip, same thing in Mexico City. There's so much building, construction, nonstop going on. Everything they build is so big in all the country too. David, no problem hearing or seeing. Excellent. Happy to hear it. Yeah, thank you guys for contributing to the conversation and asking these fantastic questions. Really, excellent questions. Let me hop over to that video, check out those comments. All right. So the first comment on that video, Malibu, Guadalajara has the nights that's still cool in the 60s. Your signal is perfect. Excellent. Okay, I'm happy to hear it. Thank you so much. Yeah, Guadalajara has great weather, but I'll be honest with you, when we were in Guadalajara, because we spent some time in Guadalajara as well, because we were looking at real estate there too, it was still hotter than Morelia typically is, especially during the day, of course. And my wife was like, nah, I can't do it, because my wife is heat sensitive and cold sensitive. So the areas that we're looking... thank you, Starry Night. Thank you. Happy to know it's coming in good. The areas that we're looking are those more temperate areas. The first comment that I have here on this video is, I can't speak the person's name, but they wrote, "This is fun for us old people, 56. You're not old. You're young. And what is fun exactly? I'm not sure. Okay. Always do your own math. 3 units at 14,000 pesos monthly. We can call that $700 approximate, right? It would take over 12 years to recoup $325,000. And that's a full occupancy at the current rate of the best apartment." I have to agree 100% with that. Now, I don't know. I'll get back to those comments in a minute. I don't know if the real estate agent who spoke that information saying they can have the house paid off in like 7 years is just bad at math. If they're just being overly optimistic, I don't know. But I can tell you that my real estate agent, Wendy, who you see in the video, told me immediately, and I knew already, when you hear you can have this place paid off in 7 years, if that was true, it would be much higher in price, and that would mean that you wouldn't be able to pay it off in 7 years. So automatically, you can probably even hear it in my voice in the video. It probably came across that I was like, But Wendy told me she thinks the math was wrong. So... not sure if the real estate agent's math was wrong or what the case was, but I can tell you that Wendy looked out for me 100%. And I already knew. 7 years to pay that place off? Come on. It's not happening. You can be as optimistic as you want. It is not happening. So those are my thoughts on that. And that was an excellent comment. Excellent. Oh, you know what? Let me, I'll hop over to our comments here. Reply to those comments here. All right. Morelli is beautiful from Malibu. Morelli is beautiful. Been there a few times. Everyone should go. I don't want to ever leave here. I love Morelia. I love Morelia. It is my favorite place, and we've been to a lot of places. Skip, I don't know, but I feel that the heat for most Americans might be difficult, isn't it? Yes, 100%. 100%. It is definitely difficult for Americans. Not for me. I can deal with it fine. But for many Americans. And that's why if you see an Airbnb, depending on the area, of course, right? Like, for example, if you saw an Airbnb in Morelia with if you saw an Airbnb in Morelia with an air conditioning unit, you better know they're trying to attract Americans because there's no need for it here. All right, so let's go down to the next comment. Thank you all for being here, by the way. And I'm sorry, I just want to say I'm sorry that my lives are never scheduled in advance. I suck. I suck. I apologize. Let me know in a comment, guys. Do you want to see me do scheduled lives? And if I get enough people telling me do a scheduled live on a certain day of the week at a certain time, I will absolutely try to do that. Malibu Merle. Hi, everyone. I live in Tequila. I moved here at 54. If I stayed in the U.S., I would have to work until 65. Only actors should work past 55 because they don't do anything. I love that. I love that. I love that. And good for you. I'm happy that you moved to a place that you're probably very, very happy in. I've never been to Tequila, but we will be there one day because this is a travel channel, right? We will be traveling around and we will be looking at real estate there to let you guys know what it's like. And we will be in the non-touristic areas to show you guys what real Mexico is because so many people just want to focus on the popular areas of Mexico, the areas of Mexico that are so ultra expensive because they have beaches, they have pools, they have hotels. We're not about that. We touch on some of that. But we are not about that. We love real Mexico. I'm living in an area that I love, and all my neighbors are Mexican, and they're the sweetest people. I can't even think of an exception, to be honest with you. All right, let's look at that next comment here. From Malibu Merle. Malibu Merle is the one who sparked this entire live tonight, by the way. Do you think it's a good time to buy Ajijic or Mexico real estate? The peso is at 17 to US dollar. At the same time, housing is rising and seems like a disaster waiting to happen. But of course, only time will tell. I live in Tequila. All right, so I want to break this question down. It's an excellent question. Do you think it's a good time to buy in Ajijic? Okay? People with money exist. I'm not one of those people. There's a lot of them out there, though. And if they're coming to Mexico, very, very likely, they're not spending nearly as much money as they normally would. So those ultra-rich people who are coming to Mexico and buying an Ajijic are saving money, okay? I bring this up because, in case you haven't seen our other Ajijic real estate tour videos, you can check those out. Ajijic has a separate economy. It has a separate economy altogether, okay? It's not like the rest of Mexico. Puerto Vallarta is not like the rest of Mexico. The economy works different, and that's because of the types of people who buy there. So to answer the first part of your question, Merle, do you think it's a good time to buy an Ajijic? I do. The one thing I would caution anyone looking to buy an ahihic with is find out how saturated it is already. How many good years does ahihic have left? Okay, I'm pretty sure it has a couple of years left. Couple meaning like maybe 5 or 10 years, maybe more. But it is ultra expensive. And again, the real estate market in ahihic, it's a separate animal. You can't compare it to like a Morelia. You can't. It doesn't work the same way. So I have a feeling it's fine, very good to buy now. And the sooner the better, because as you mentioned in your comment, and as I mentioned earlier, the pricing's only going up. So that's the way I personally see it. Again, I am not an advisor, okay? And you mentioned peso, the peso at 17 to dollar. As I mentioned, it can just keep dropping. I have friends who have seen it at $1 to 4 pesos. So imagine if you wait and that happens. You don't know what's going to happen with the markets. You don't know what's going to happen with the currency exchange. If you have enough now, you might as well buy an asset in a good area that will very likely continue to appreciate, and then you'll make up for the fact that the peso is at such a low amount when you went to buy it. Let's go back to these comments on screen. Let's see. Jose Ramos, congratulations, Malibu, on moving out of US. True. Thank you very much for the comment, Jose. Happy to have you here. As you said, Skip says, as you said, Morelia is not in the radar of tourism. Might be very soon. Who knows? Absolutely. Honestly, Skip, it should be in the radar of tourism. I'm happy it's not right now, but I do believe in the next couple of years that it will be, to be honest. Jose Ramos, or go in the stock market and make a leaving of there. Go in the stock market and make a leaving of there. Not sure if I understand the comment, but I'm sure that it is a good one. Malibu Merle, agree. They sell in Seattle or Los Angeles for $1 million and buy an ahihic for over 500,000. Absolutely. Even with 17 pesos, they are ahead. These are baby boomers with money. Absolutely right, Merle. Absolutely right. Someone left a comment on Tangerine Travel's video the other day. I think they made a video saying why you should not buy a house here. And that comment, I didn't physically see it. My wife saw it. She told me about it. That comment was something along the lines of, why would I ever buy a house in Mexico for like $250,000 when I could buy a house in the US for $250,000 and actually rent it at a higher price? Because if you buy a house here in Mexico for 250 grand, very likely you're only going to be able to rent it, depending on the area, of course, right? Only rent it for a fraction of what US rents are. But my question to that guy is, where on earth are you buying a house for 250 grand? Because the last time I checked, you could buy like a shack in Georgia, all places of the United States, a shack in Georgia for like 200 grand, and you're still gonna have to put in like $80,000 of work. So I don't know where this guy's buying his real estate, but let me know. You know what I'm saying? Tell me if I'm wrong. I went house hunting in the United States before we came here. Okay? Where are you finding a house for 250 grand? Even in the towns, my wife comes from a town called Deposit. It's in upstate New York. The houses there were in $300,000. And there's no industry. People are driving an hour from that town just to make a living every day. So where are you buying? And that house was 300 grand. Where are you buying a house for $250,000 in the US? Tell me. Tell me. Wherever you're going, you better buy a bulletproof vest along with it, because it ain't going to be in a good place. Okay. Next on the comments here. Bill Floor. Realtors will always say anything. I can't argue with that, Bill. Realtors will always say anything. I'm not sure what he was referring to within the video, but absolutely right. Realtors will very likely almost always say anything. Right. So realtors will always say anything. Absolutely. They're making sorry, I got dazed off with the comments there. Absolutely right. They will very likely always say anything in order to get a sale. But that is why I trust Wendy. I'm not just saying this. Wendy is like a diamond in the rough because she's going to tell you how it is, how she sees it. She's not going to sugarcoat things. She's very blunt, very honest from what I can see. And I don't think she's stringing anybody along. She gives you the good, she gives you the bad, and she lets you make a decision. She's not trying to sway you. She deals with the facts, and I trust Wendy. So I don't look at Wendy as just a real estate agent. I look at Wendy as a friend and as someone who I can actually confide in, okay? Next on that list, let's see here. This is an excellent question by Giovanni Capitan. Don't know if I'm saying that right. Wait till you guys hear this if you have not seen this comment yet. It's a large hallway with a kitchen, referring to the house I put out, the video I put out, today, talking about how all the floors, because they're studios, are a large hallway with a kitchen. Gringos, so I guess maybe Giovanni is maybe Mexican, have made the real estate prices ridiculous now. I wouldn't offer more than 125 grand and walk away if I didn't get it. That whole place needs another renovation except for the ceiling. The ceiling is a keeper. Absolutely. I agree. That ceiling, phenomenal. Let's see here. Every gringo has been saying they want the experience, the culture, yada, yada. But look, none of them are fluent still. We'll get to that. That tells you right there, they're not integrating themselves as they want everyone to believe that's what they're doing. They buy low and sell high, buy low, sell high, rent high, period. Okay. So this is an excellent question. I'm going to break it down with my responses. First, it's a large hallway with a kitchen. All right. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it is. That's what any studio is. And if you watch that video, you'll hear me say, and if you ever want to actually know where I used to live, almost all my places of residence have been studios. The only difference is they're studios in the United States. So you're calling this a large hallway with a kitchen? Well, then I only ever got kitchens. How about that? I'm not telling you you're wrong, but I am telling you you've never experienced the places I've lived. Not only have I lived in studios in the United States that were not even a quarter of the size of those studios, they weren't a fraction as nice. Not even a fraction as nice. Not even close. I had to put work into the studio, and I didn't even own the place. These places are ready to move into now. $700 USD. $650 in fact. $650 USD. You know what $650 USD is going to get you in the United States? A closet. Not even a closet. You may not even get a bathroom. You might have to share your neighbor's bathroom. So that's what that is. Now I understand that Giovanni's upset that the prices here were inflated by the next part of his comment, gringos who've made real estate prices ridiculous. Absolutely right. But you don't know how good you clearly have it. Because I've lived in New York in a studio that cost over $2,000 a month. So don't tell me that's a hallway with a kitchen. Don't. I don't want to hear it. Gringos have made real estate prices ridiculous. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. There's no questioning. But as I mentioned earlier, if you talk to people who know what they're talking about, they'll tell you most of the money coming to Mexico is coming from Americans. So regardless, your economy is being pumped full of money. At the very least, you can be happy about that. I don't like that there's gentrification here. I'll get to the next part in a minute. I wouldn't offer more than 125G and walk away if I didn't get it. I would say if that was not in Ajijic, then that's probably a little too high, to be honest with you. I've seen houses that were 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms for 90,000, 90K USD, that were bigger than that place. So you got to understand, location is key, and that's always been like that. It's not just because it's 2023. It's not because gringos are moving into Mexico. No. If Mexicans, you ever been to Chapala on the weekend? All the Guadalajarans come. It is like a New York City subway station in Chapala every single weekend. Why? Location, location, location. I don't care if Americans were in Mexico or not. You're going to have higher class Mexicans. You're going to have lower class Mexicans. Okay? If Americans weren't there, it might be a little cheaper, but at the end of the day, if you're complaining about that price, you probably couldn't afford it anyway, even if the Americans weren't there. Because that location is hot. Why is that location hot? It's by a beautiful lake. It's got a beautiful culture within the town. And you're also have some of the greatest weather on planet Earth. You're telling me that's not going to be the most expensive place, or one of the most? I don't know what else to tell you. If you don't like my answer, I don't know what else to tell you. That whole place needs another renovation except for the ceiling. The ceiling is a keeper. I agree about the ceiling. As far as the rest of the place needing a renovation, it was fine. Personally, it was fine. Especially if you're not going to live there. If you're just going to rent the thing out, it is what it is. It's fine. And I would be more than happy to live there. Trust me when I tell you. Every gringo has been saying they want the experience, the culture, yada, yada. But look, none of them are still fluent. Okay, this is a big deal to me because I'm one of those gringos who are like, I want the culture. I want the experience, yada, yada. That's me, right? We're all doing the same thing because we're all the same gringo, right? I'm trying to learn Spanish. In case you haven't noticed, there's plenty of videos where I'm actually speaking Spanish. I'm speaking it horribly. You want to complain about how people aren't fluent? You try learning a language at 30 years old, 36 years old, 40 years old, 60 years old. Most of the people in Ajijic, the video you commented on, they're like 80s. They're in 70s, 60s. You're telling me that they're just going to pick up a language like this? Have some respect. Have some respect. If they come to this country and they're spending their money here and they're kind to you and they appreciate the culture and love the people and show respect and honor to the people, don't give me that. Don't complain about them not being fluent, okay? Because it's hard enough me, a 36-year-old, trying to learn the language. And I'm practicing every day. I'm hanging out with Mexican people who speak only Spanish. And I'm making the conversation happen. So don't give me that. Because I'm not fluent, I'm not integrating. I don't want to hear it. With all due respect, this hits home right here. Because this comment, while it brings out a lot of really good points, it's also very, very harsh to Americans or anybody else. Because gringo apparently means Americans, Canadians, anybody else, right? But it's mostly pointed towards Americans. They buy low and sell high. They also rent high, period. First of all, nobody's buying low. Who's buying low? You tell me who's buying low. Where in Mexico are you going to buy low? They got lots over here in Morelia in a dingy part of town for 100 grand. That's a lot. That doesn't even have a house. You're telling me we buy low? Well, you sound like you've lived in really nice places, and you sound like you got a lot of money. That's what it sounds like to me. So where are you spending your money? That's what I want to know. You sound like you've had a very privileged life. Because I certainly haven't. I'm living in studios in the United States for $2,000 a month. I'm over here. Oh, we rent high, right? All the gringos rent high. I'm living in a Mexican working class neighborhood where rents start at $300. We rent high? I think maybe you need to change your terminology and maybe say some gringos. Maybe. Buy low and sell high. Very unlikely that you're going to be able to just buy low and sell high. Chances are you're giving up your entire life, if you're anybody like me, to afford a home, in the hopes that maybe it will go high one day. Just like people do in the United States. Just like people do here in Mexico. You think you have Mexican people, wealthy Mexican people who run around saying, I want to buy high, I want to buy high. We want to buy high because we're Mexican. No, they're going to buy low. And they're going to sell high. So I don't know where, Giovanni, you're coming from, with all due respect, but it's a very excellent points. But with all due respect, I'm pretty sure your arguments, in my opinion, are shot dead by mine. At least I hope they are, because I think it was a very disrespectful comment. And I don't think it was necessary. And I don't think it's accurate. I think maybe you're hurt about something and that you really need to think about what you're saying before you say it. That's just my personal opinion. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Now I'm going to get back to your comments. Oh, I missed a bunch of comments. All right, let's see here. Just give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Man, you guys are having fun in the chat. All right, here we go. Malibu Merle. That tangerine guy, Jordan, should have bought a house 3 years ago. Makes no sense. He is way behind now. I agree. I don't know how much money he makes, and it's not my business, but I can tell you that if I was him and I had the money, I would have bought a long time ago. He's saying renting is better. I got to be honest with you. No, it's not. Not when you're making dollars, and not when the dollar's on the decline, it's not better. He's either not thinking about the future, or he's not making as much money as everyone thinks he's making, and he can't afford to buy. One or the other. That's just my thoughts. Skip. Mazatlan is a small tourist city. But even so, the prices are still low compared to the rest of the country. I hope one day you take a look. Skip, absolutely right. Mazatlan is a small tourist city. Beautiful place. Beautiful place from what I hear. I've never been there yet, but we will be going there. The reason we have not gone there for ourselves, though, Skip, is because it's too hot for Brittany. I would love to go there and check it out. And plant roots, probably, because I like smaller towns, you know. Morelia is pretty big compared to some places, but it's still not the biggest. I like smaller towns. I like getting to know the locals. I want to be a part of everything. So Mazatlan sounds like it'd be a great place, but it's way too hot for Brittany. But we will get there one day, and when we do, we plan on doing some tours, real estate, and all that stuff. Thank you for the excellent comment. Skip, especially in February and April, which are the best seasons to visit. Thank you for the heads up. Malibu. Skip. Mazatlan, cool place. There you go. Jose Ramos. You're welcome, Malibu. Let's see here. Mazatlan's been growing fast. Ah, Jose, pretty interesting. You guys in Morelia, I am originally born in Colima, although my parents brought us from Colima to Los Angeles at the age of 9. Wow, that is very, very cool, bro. That is very cool. How did you like it in Los Angeles? Jose, you're welcome. Appreciate all the great videos. Oh, thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for finding value in the videos. Jose, I know, kind of confusing. I meant to 2 options, and you can move out anywhere you want in the world and make money. Ah, yes, of the stock market. Yes, 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 yes. I do work in electrical, but I want my freedom from the 9 to 5. Yes, Jose, if you could somehow make money mobile, yes. As I mentioned in my pros and cons list, in my list of reasons to buy or not to buy, the stock market is a beautiful thing, and it's also scary as heck because I lost my entire livelihood in like a matter of, well, not my entire, gratefully, but all the time that I spent working is pretty much gone, flushed down the toilet because of the stock market. So it's good and bad, you know. I feel like putting your money into a physical asset might be more, in a place that's growing and strong, might be a little bit safer. You can make a ton of money quick, and you can lose it just as fast. At least with a physical asset, you're making, maybe, if you can rent the thing out, rent the home out, the apartment building out, you can maybe make some money every month. And then you can also sell it at a premium or at a larger premium than you bought it for originally. And yes, about getting your freedom from the 9 to 5, I don't blame you. But if you work in electrical, I'm assuming you make pretty decent money. Stow that away and get the heck out. Malibu Merle. I was 21 years old in Santa Monica with no roommate. Now Malibu is in his 50s. Now they have 4 roommates. Yeah, who wants to live like that? Who wants to live like that? Not me. Jose, it's way too expensive out here in California. I am paying $2,400 for a 2-bedroom apartment. Jose, let me borrow some money, man. I'm joking. But you can drop a super chat if you want. Just saying. No pressure. Joking. But yes, ridiculously expensive. $2,400 for a 2-bedroom apartment. Let me tell you something. Those apartments we saw in the video that we're referring to tonight, they could actually be made into 1-bedrooms. They could. They were big enough to be made into a 1-bedroom. So you want to call it a hallway with a closet? You can make that place into a 1-bedroom. Put up a wall. You can do it. There's enough space. That's a beautiful hallway and a beautiful kitchen. Hallway with a kitchen was what was mentioned in the comment. I don't know where Giovanni's coming from, but I've seen worse for more. So don't tell me that place is a dump. It didn't need no renovation. It's fine. Because I've lived it. Jose, that's why I moved to Mexico. $1,000 a month, you're rich. Malibu Merle. That's what he's talking about. He knows. Jose, Malibu, I also heard Merida is pretty safe and about $400 for a 3-bedroom home. There you go. Now, I just want to say, I've heard, Jose, that Merida is very, very, very extremely safe. Yes. And $400K, I'm assuming you're talking about, to buy a 3-bedroom home. I don't know if you're talking about $400 a month, $400, K to buy it, or $400 month rent. Not sure. Maybe you could specify. But I don't believe that Merida would be $400 a month USD for a 3-bedroom home. I don't believe that that's true. I could be wrong. But of course, it depends on the area. Would anyone on this chat move to Mexico after 65 and pay over 400 grand? I wouldn't. I'd go to a 55 plus place in California. Ah, yeah, it's a great point. $400 a month rent. Okay, Jose. Yeah, there might be a place in Merida. Yes. Here in Morelia, you're looking at like starting at 300, maybe 350 for rent, and it's not going to be a furnished place. So it is possible. Yes, it is definitely possible. It might not be furnished, and then you're stuck spending money on furniture, but just keep that in mind. Malibu Merle. Jose, Merida is beautiful, but 105 today. Exactly why we didn't go there. Exactly why we didn't go there. It's too hot. Hot and humid. I've been to Merida 3 times. I like it, but Guadalajara is better weather. 100% right. 100,000% right. You can fly anywhere in Mexico for $100 and return from Guadalajara. Absolutely right. Jose, the 400 wasn't for you. Sorry, guys. Malibu Merle, agree about Tangerine. I'm glad to know I'm not crazy. Because when it is what it is. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. Malibu Merle, watch Jerry Brown Travels. Old guy. He lost everything in 2008 crash. I've seen his channel. I just haven't, I didn't know that he lost everything in 2008 crash. He moved to Mexico. Things haven't changed much about moving here for affordability. 100% right, Malibu. The only thing is if you're on a pension like he is on, if I remember correctly, your money, depending on how low that peso goes, is really going to be stretched thin. And that is why I recommend buy now. The peso is at 17 to $1. Yeah. It's at 17 to $1. Buy now. If you buy now, you're not going to be renting. I'm pretty sure Jerry owns the condo that he's in. That's the only reason he's afloat. That's the only reason he's surviving. If he was renting, you're in trouble, because between the peso getting stronger, the dollar getting weaker, and inflation, you're not going to be able to afford to put gas in your car. Even though he's over in Ajijic or Chapala, he doesn't need a car. You don't need a car there. Very, very convenient for the most part. Jose Ramos, Los Angeles is my home. I grew up here. Yeah, I hear you. No doubt. It's expensive. As you mentioned, it is expensive. Ridiculous. So that's why, back to the whole point of this video, that is why I highly recommend, yes, the question was, what do you think about Ajijic buying and Mexico in general? Things ain't getting cheaper, guys. They're not. Yes, the peso might eventually go down and the dollar might eventually go up, but it doesn't necessarily mean, first of all, you don't know. No one knows. Yes, you might buy a place and you might next week. Freaking mosquitoes. You might buy a place and then next week be like, oh no, the peso changed. Yes, it can happen. But it could also drop more. And what's the most important thing? Having a roof over your head and killing mosquitoes. What's the most important thing? Having a roof over your head. That's going to be the biggest expense you have. So yes, in my personal non-financial advisor opinion, if you can afford to still purchase a place, I think now is a good time to do it, depending on your circumstances, monetarily and physically, right? If you already have a roof over your head, no need to buy a place, right? But it could be looked at as a security, because in the future, home prices will only continue to go up throughout Mexico. Whether you're the small town or the big town, it's going up. And you might actually be able to Save your money like that, put it in a safe place, in an asset, and you might also be able to make money every month if you rent the place. Okay, we have Delta West United official. Oh, good to see you, my friend. Tips on how to stay safe in Mexico. Absolutely, I have plenty, and I will touch back on that in a moment. Jose Ramos, I lost 60,000 within the last 2 hours on stocks. Lesson learned. Still in it with a different strategy now. Okay. Ugh. I don't even want to know where mine are at. I met Jerry and his wife by Malibu Merle. He met them last week. Jerry and his wife Lori last week in Tequila. That was cool. He rented the big house. Now owns the condo. Oh, okay. Okay, excellent. Skip, don't kill the mosquito. He was paying attention learning. He was learning how to get fat off my blood, Skip. Malibu Merle, don't forget many pensioners are getting yearly cost of living increases to compensate for help with the 17 peso. At least that helps a little. 100% right. Thank you for bringing that very important fact out. Absolutely right. Delta West United official asks tips on how to stay safe in Mexico. I plan on doing another live about that in the future, but I will absolutely touch on it now because why not? Before I ever came to Mexico, I was very frightened. And even after I came back from Mexico, came to Mexico, checked the place out, fell in love with Mexico, went back home, stayed there for about a year. After that year, I got comfortable in the US, and then all of a sudden, I started getting afraid of Mexico again. You hear a lot of stuff about things in Mexico, cartels, corrupt cops, and all that stuff. And all that stuff is true. All of it's true. There's not one thing that you've heard that's not true. But it's also within a certain context. Sorry, Skip. It's within a certain context. I'm not saying that you won't get hurt in Mexico. Not saying that. Before we came to Morelia, there was a shootout at a cafe that's maybe 15 minutes from where we're living. The day we moved to Morelia, we were driving in and we passed the place that had the shootout that day and didn't know until later. Found out it was gang related. It was narco related, right? So the stuff you hear is true, but most of the time, a majority of the time, not all the time, but a majority of the time, people who are not involved with the cartels already are not the targets most of the time. This information is not just from me. This information is from every single Mexican person I know. Every single one who've lived here since birth. Okay? I have a lot of Mexican friends. Trust me when I tell you, I might not speak Spanish. Mi español es no muy bien. But I have a lot of Mexican friends who speak English and don't. And we hang out all the time. So I'm telling you from their mouths that most of the time, 99.8% of the time, if you don't get involved with anything stupid and you don't provoke anybody, you're not going to be bothered. There's always going to be certain cases. So tips on how to stay safe: don't do drugs. Don't sell drugs. Don't buy drugs. Don't do anything like that. Don't get involved with guns. Don't get involved with any of that crazy stuff. That's tip number one. Number two, choose your friends wisely. Because a lot of the time, if you make bad association, you might go ahead and start hanging out with somebody who's involved in a gang, in a cartel, and you don't even know it. Because they're not just going to tell you. And then all of a sudden, someone's looking to hurt them and you're next to them. So be very careful. Also, make sure that you're not looking flashy. I have a jewelry channel, separate YouTube channel, jewelry channel. I wear no jewelry here. I can if I want to. There are people who walk around with it, yes. But I don't feel the need to. Number one, I'm not looking to show off here. I'm looking to fly underneath the radar. I'm already almost as white as this wall. Do you think I need more of a reason to stick out? No. So I drive in a crappy car and I don't wear any jewelry. I don't wear fancy clothes and I'm not looking for attention. I try to stay beneath the radar because me being from outside of the country already puts me on the map just breathing. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing that I would highly, highly recommend as far as safety. Be humble here because the Mexican people are, for a majority, very, very humble. Be humble because if you come here from, for example, the United States with the United States arrogance that a lot of people come here with, very likely you will be fine because the Mexican people are so loving. But you could piss somebody off. And there's a lot of people who aren't loving, even in Mexico. So if you bring your attitude here, that could cause a problem. Off the top of my head, because that was a very from left field question, those are the things that I'm thinking about as far as safety. And also, be very respectful to police. Not every single police officer, as you might know from watching my channel, because I've been pulled over plenty of times already, and I've shown you some of the times on the channel, they're not always looking for bribes. No, don't get pulled over and then just take your wallet out and try to hand the guy money. Very likely he'll take it and walk away. I can't guarantee it, very likely though, but don't do that. Because you're contributing to something that's illegal, you're contributing to that happening more, and they're not all corrupt. Just show respect. Show respect. Every cop that's pulled me over so far, buenos dias, buenos tardes. Hola, señor. Buenos tardes. That's it. And then move forward with the conversation. And be human. Don't be disrespectful. So I hope that helps. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know. Skip, I'm glad I'm able to make you laugh, my friend. CMT 63. You may want to look at the way Mexico accesses taxes on home sales. Basically, the higher the price is in the sale, is the higher the capital gains are figured if you buy when the peso is lower. CMT 2/2E help if you need to sell. If you can afford it, it's probably a decent time to buy. So I just want to touch on that, CMT. Let me know your thoughts on this. Last time I checked, if you're looking to buy a home in Mexico, if you become a permanent resident, you can actually you can actually file a paperwork in order to be exempt from capital gains, if I remember correctly. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the real estate agent just told me that. I can double check, but I'm fairly certain you can be exempt from capital gains to a degree, at least, depending on what goes on as far as that paperwork that you fill out. And keep in mind, Wendy, my agent, told me about that initially. So you get a seasoned real estate agent who has your best interest in mind, and I think you'll be okay. Skip, I confirm that. You are not the target if you are not in. Yes, Yeah, in the wrong place, wrong time, or causing. Yes, of course, absolutely, I agree. Jose Ramos, sorry, I meant to say years. Ah, no worries. Yeah, no worries, bro. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for your comments, guys. Delta West United official. Thanks for that. Morelli is the capital of Michoacan, which is the do not travel by the U.S. Department of State. So I wanted to know how it would be. Yes, absolutely right. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you everything is hunky dory. Again, the day we arrived, you had people shot up at a cafe. They were part of the cartel. So you had one cartel fighting with the other cartel. When I watch the news in the United States, I am appalled at how much senseless violence there is. You have children getting shot by grown adults. It's appalling. You have people getting murdered in Home Depot. You have organized crime syndicates in the United States. And all you have to do is turn on the news to see this. So yes, this is on the, Michoacan is on the do not travel list. Yes. But I do believe that Morelli is one of the safest places within Michoacan to be, because I believe that's actually mentioned on that list. If I remember correctly, that Morelli is a safe zone in a way. But yes, if you're not involved with anything, a majority of the time, unless you're in the wrong place, wrong time, or you're the small percentage that you were standing out or whatever, living here is like living in a fun, happy United States. I feel safe here. I hope nothing ever happens. I can't guarantee it, but I feel safe here. I walk in the streets here. I drive in the streets here. My wife is here. We have friends here. I feel safe here. Do things happen? Of course they do. Absolutely. But things happen everywhere. Look at Pennsylvania. Look at the United States. Look at California. Look at Chicago. Look at all these places. You're hearing reports of senseless violence on the daily. At least over here, it's a narco shooting at a narco because they want the territory. At least there's a reason here. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's see. Skip, one piece of advice that I can give you so that you can enjoy the country more is to introduce yourself to the culture, because there are very good things you can learn from. Skip, I absolutely agree. I don't believe you were talking to me, because if you follow the channel, you know that we are immersed in the culture every day. Our friends pretty much only speak Mexican. So, but I'm sure you were talking to someone else in the chat, but if not, we immerse ourselves, and you are 100% right. Malibu Merle, Delta, every city in the U.S. is do not travel. Thank you. It's a complicated subject. Yes, yes. Delta West, that makes me feel better. Malibu, thanks. There you go. Delta from Malibu. I came here 54 years old with a carry-on suitcase, but I'm a dream follower. Good for you. Good for you. There's a lot happening in the U.S. Absolutely, Delta. Absolutely. CMT 63. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry. Important business at hand. CMT 63. Even if it's 260,000 USD, if you sell it for 260,000 and the peso changes, they will access both ways based on purchase price at pesos. Some people may want to look in case you decide to sell or move. Absolutely right. Malibu Merle, the U.S. Department of Travel should put out advisories on every U.S. city. Thank you. They want you to stay and work till 65. Be smart. Think for yourself. Malibu Merle, the day that I left the United States, funny enough, the day that I left the United States, my family lives in an extremely safe right? Safe area. The day I left the United States, there was a person held up at gunpoint 5 minutes from their house. During the day, it was a carjacking. The day I got to Morelia, there was a shootout over here. So again, where's the travel advisories for the United States? Great point. True stories over here. Okay. Skip, I'm going to tell you something that many foreigners do not know when they live in Mexico, and that is that Mexicans have a good sense of humor, and there are many places with mysticism and history. Absolutely right. And gastronomy that many already know. Absolutely right. Thank you very much, Skip, for dropping these very valuable comments and experiences. Well, everybody, I don't know if anybody has any other questions, but if you don't, I'll give you a couple of seconds there to type them in. But if you don't, I'm going to let you go for now and call it a night. But I feel like this was a very successful live. Again, let me know in the chat, guys. Should I do what a lot of the other channels do? Should Brittany and I set up a day and a time to do lives? Let us know. If you want a more scheduled live, we can certainly try to fit that into our schedule once things calm down a little bit. But let us know. And if you don't have any other comments, go ahead and feel free to write more comments if you have any. But I just want to say thank you all for being here. I feel like this was a very fantastic live. I feel like we got a lot accomplished. And I feel like we were able to hit a lot of points that might be able to help you guys. Again, buying property here, there's pros and there's cons, but I feel much safer, to be honest, right now at least, spending my money here. I don't want to spend my money in the U.S. I don't want to give the U.S. my money. They already took my money. They already took my money. I don't want to give them more. CMT 63, a scheduled live would be nice. Excellent. Okay, thank you very much for that info, CMT. Hopefully, if we get a lot more people letting me know, we'll have that start up in the future. But guys, I don't believe... Oh, Edward, thanks for sharing your thoughts. Of course, absolutely. Thank you, Edward, for the comment. I appreciate it. And I'm very grateful for you guys being here. I'm glad that this is helping. That's what this channel is about. It's about helping you guys. Originally, we started it for our families. Most of our families don't watch. So I'm happy that we were able to start something that was beneficial to everybody else. But in the meantime, I don't believe there's any more comments, guys. So I will sign off for tonight. Be safe. Talk soon. If you ever have any ideas for videos, drop them in the comments. If anyone else wants to see scheduled lives, please let us know. Delta West United. It's sad because the U.S. is supposed to be the country of bravery, but politics destroyed it. Politics, politics, politics. It's true, politics are everywhere, and none of them are on the level. And it is unfortunate because they do destroy everything, right? They do. They do. There will never be one politician who's on the level. And if there is, they won't be allowed to live, unfortunately. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Be safe. And thank every single one of you for being here. Malibu Merle, gracias. This was fun. Hasta luego. Nos vemos, my friend. Thank you so much for your time. I'm very grateful to all of you. And thank you for all of your valuable input. Every single person that left a comment is helping somebody else to be able to learn. Skip, thank you. Goodbye, my friend. Starry night. Take care. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Delta West, adios. Adios, mi amigo. Hasta luego. I don't think I'll ever catch this guy. Have a good night, Evie B. Take care. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Okay, adios, adios. Nos vemos.